Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the White House for the 2022 U.S. Interdiction Coordinator Awards Ceremony. Before we begin, can I please ask you to silence all electronic devices for the duration of the ceremony? I'll also note that you're wearing visitor badges. Feel free, please, to remove those items while you're in this room, especially when you come forward to take your photo. So if you want to take a moment now, it's a great opportunity. You'll only have to put those on when you leave this room. The USIC Awards are presented under the authority of the Office of National Drug Control Policy, and we are honored to have our director, Dr. Rahul Gupta, here with us today. Dr. Gupta's significant and distinguished career includes being a primary care physician for more than 25 years and serving as the West Virginia Health Commissioner, where he was the state's chief health officer and brought together public health, law enforcement, and other partners to lead the opioid crisis response. Dr. Gupta has seen firsthand how drug overdoses have ravaged communities and the challenges that law enforcement faces in bringing criminal organizations to justice. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Gupta, the Director of ONDCP. Sir.
Thank you, Vance. Good morning, everybody. And I want to appreciate everybody that's here today. Welcome to the White House and everybody that's watching us online. I want to give a special thanks to our federal partners who have made the effort to be here today. I want to thank some of my colleagues and friends that we work with every day, Adam Cohen at OSDAF, Jim Lee of the RS Criminal Investigations, Chief Inspector Gary Barksdale of USPIS, Executive Associate Director Katrina Berger of HSI, Admiral Mark Fedor. We had a good conversation yesterday of GADF South, so thank you for your time here. And so many of the law enforcement leaders from across the agencies, including DEA, HSI, FBI, the Coast Guard, and our state and local partners. You know, it is really an honor and a privilege to be presiding over this ceremony. This is my second time that I'm doing this, and it's always the highlight of the year for me. This really recognizes the outstanding contributions of law enforcement officers and agents who are clearly working tirelessly to stop drug trafficking and keep our communities safe. You know, whether it's interdiction at the border, online, at sea, or in our communities nationwide. The work that's being done to stop traffickers by today's awardees and by their counterparts across the country is so vital to both our national security and our national health. And right now, we need you more than ever. Synthetic drugs, as you know, such as illicit fentanyl, methamphetamine, xylazine, and so many more. They're tearing families and communities apart every single minute of every hour of every day. Fentanyl, as you know, is being added to drugs, including cocaine, and it is increasing the lethality of these drugs. And it's being pressed into counterfeit pills, and it's being sold oftentimes via social media. Now, we know that DEA has reported that 6 out of 10 pills bought online, which may look like the real thing, actually contain potentially lethal dose of fentanyl. 6 out of 10. And you know, just this week, the Vice President convened a roundtable that I moderated with 8 attorneys general, and she talked about that very fact. And she talked about the importance of that. Now, why? Because the odds of this number are worse than playing Russian roulette with your life. This crisis really begins with precursor chemicals in China and ends up in emergency rooms across our communities and across the country. And that is exactly why President Biden's national drug control strategy is going after the 2 key drivers of this crisis: helping remove the untreated addiction and help that, as well as the drug trafficking and the profits that fuel it. To me, these are really the 2 sides of the same coin. At a time when our nation is facing over 100,000 deaths a year. We've got to use every tool at our disposal to stop these deadly drugs and prevent the overdose deaths. And I know you know that. But this means for us to make sure that overdose reversal medications like naloxone are accessible to anyone and everyone who needs it. It means that emerging threats like xylazine, we get ahead of it when it's mixed with fentanyl, and we react and urgently coordinate a national response, something that we released just last week. It also means that we ensure that everybody who can get treatment is able to get it. And it means also cracking down on illicit production and trafficking of fentanyl and going after the fentanyl supply chain at every choke point that's possible. It also means that in the financial system, we talk about the choke points, we go after where we've seen historic sanctions being imposed against individuals and entities involved in the drug trade. It also means that at the border, where I was earlier this month, that we do everything we can to stop these drugs from coming in. And then through the work of HIDA that does in communities all across the nation each and every day. So today, we're here to honor the outstanding work that is being done across our country and to celebrate the award winners' accomplishments, and they are significant. At the same time, we also must recognize the very real danger to officers and agents as they work every single hour of every single day to prevent drug trafficking and to stop drug trafficking. And we're reminded of this. We're reminded of this every time that we lose one of our heroes. And I want to say that, Customs Border Protection Agent Michael Maceda. Agent Maceda was a CBP Marine Interdiction agent. And on the morning of November 17th last year, he and two other agents set sail to intercept two suspicious vessels near Puerto Rico. These traffickers resisted arrest and actually opened fire. Agent Maceda was struck. And despite the best efforts of the Coast Guard who evacuated him, as well as the medical teams back on shore, he passed away from his injuries. He made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our nation. So I want to just have us please join me in a moment of silence in the memory of Agent Maceda. Thank you. Now, in addition to losing Agent Maceda, Agent Santiago, who's here today, Agent Santiago, please raise your hand. Thank you. And Agent Lampier, who were both also wounded in the exchange of gunfire. And we're so thankful that you survived. As a result of this operation and their courage, they prevented more than 2,800 pounds of cocaine from reaching our shores, which would have very likely would have been contaminated and cut with fentanyl, would have caused more overdoses, would have caused more deaths. Now, this is, to me, is a stark reminder of how dangerous, but also how necessary this work is that we're doing against the traffickers and drug producers. So today, we're posthumously awarding Agent Maceda and the Customs and Border Protection Air and Marine Operation Caribbean Branch with the Maritime Interdiction Award for their service to our nation. We're also presenting 8 other awards today and celebrating the contributions across illicit finance, emerging threats, cyber investigations, and so much more. And all of these efforts, they directly support President Biden's national drug control strategy and his efforts to crack down on traffickers who actually profit from Americans' suffering. Now, I'll say this, President Biden is committed to hitting drug traffickers where it hurts them the most, their wallets. The actions taken by the brave women and men being recognized today here have done exactly that. And these law enforcement leaders have made their communities and our country safer by permanently removing these drugs from the supply before they can hurt Americans. Now, this heroic work represents the best of the best. And today, we're showing just how grateful our nation is for your service, for your critical partnership in helping us beat the opioid overdose epidemic. I also want to take a moment to recognize the sacrifices, and they are no less than sacrifices, that are made by families and loved ones of today's winners. I know that some family members are here today, including Ned Hyduke, a retired sheriff and the father of Deputy Ned Hyduke as well. We also know we have Yaseret Valdivia, the spouse of Gustavo Valdivia, Jessica Sykes. Let's have you raise hands if you don't mind. Ned? There you go. Okay, we got everybody here. Jessica, who got you? Okay, all right. Anna Rivero, the spouse of Dallas Maltby. Brandy Smith, the spouse of Randy Stake. There we go, in the back. For some reason, we have a lot of people in the back. As well as Lieutenant Commander Nestor Lazarivas' spouse and others. You want to raise your hand as well? There you go. You know, none of this would be possible without your sacrifices, your long hours, your toleration of these folks missing family events, missing so much other, and harm as well as threat to your life. And it's really important that we do not forget your contributions. So congratulations to all the award winners and their families. Our nation thanks you for what you've done and what you continue to do every day. Your hard work and determination will help us hold traffickers accountable and ultimately save lives. And together, we're going to beat this crisis. And let me just end by a quote that President Biden often likes to say. We are the United States of America. And there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. Now I would like to introduce our next speaker, ONDCP Assistant Director Shannon Kelly, who is also the United States Interdiction Coordinator. Ma'am?
Welcome to the 2022 U.S. Interdiction Coordinator Awards ceremony. It's a pleasure to be here today to recognize and celebrate the exceptional performance of each USIC award recipient whose efforts as part of a larger team generated significant successes in protecting our citizens from the scourge of dangerous drugs. Your selfless and dedicated service to the mission made us all safer and sent a strong message to those traffickers who target our citizens that they will be brought to justice. These are all examples of the extraordinary work done by law enforcement and military folks all around the world and around the country. We recognize this international team for sharing intelligence and information, cooperating on operations, and for their singular focus on interdicting illicit drugs and illicit proceeds with a broader goal of putting drug traffickers in jail and dismantling their networks through the legal system. The U.S. Interdiction Coordinator Award Program was established in 2003 to recognize the superior performance of our frontline drug interdictors and all of those who support them. Today, these annual awards recognize those who have demonstrated exceptional results and innovative tactics and approaches in the effort to stem the flow of drugs into the United States. This program has evolved to recognize individuals and teams throughout the interagency community who've excelled in this shared effort to counter drug-related transnational organized crime. This year's award categories and selection criteria encompass the entire interdiction continuum. The award categories are listed in your programs. 7 experts from across the interdiction community reviewed this year's nominations, so these award selections reflect interagency peer recognition. The selection panel faced a challenging task, as each of these numerous nominations reflected outstanding work and were examples of selfless service and sacrifice in the mission to protect citizens from the threat of dangerous drugs. So again, my deepest congratulations to each of you. Your exemplary efforts stood out among the noteworthy work of all of your talented and dedicated colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. We will now recognize the 2022 USIC Award recipients. I will announce each category and call individuals one at a time, excuse me, so please wait until your name has been called to come forward. There is one plaque for each category, but all attendees will receive a certificate. After all awards have been presented, please stand up together on the stage for photos on this side right here, and then you may return to your seats. All photos taken today will be posted on a virtual link for download following the event. Please hold your applause until each member of each group has received their award. For those award recipients, once everyone is called and a photo is taken, we'll then ask you to return to your seats. To begin, I would now like to recognize the members of the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, Miami Division, and the Palm Beach Narcotics Task Force Dark Web Syntropy Investigation for their efforts under the Cyber Investigations category. This category recognizes a cyber-related investigation that resulted in a significant seizure or prosecution which has ties to a drug trafficking organization. The Syntropy case was a non-traditional national narcotics distribution investigation where subjects utilized the dark web to sell illegal narcotics nationwide. This investigation began with a review of United States Postal Service business records, searching for abnormalities in postage and mailings made from the West Palm Beach, Florida area. Once these abnormalities were identified, investigators learned a person or persons using the moniker Syntropy was utilizing the dark web to market a wide variety of illegal narcotics. Undercover purchases and surveillance operations led to the identification of the main suspects. This investigation also revealed a direct link to an overdose death in Utah. Dr. Gupta will now present members of the Palm Beach Narcotics Task Force Dark Web Syntropy investigation with their certificates. A reminder to please hold your applause until all names are called. First, we would like to recognize Henry Ramos, Task Force Officer to the Postal Inspection Service from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department. It's Mr. Juan Hernandez, Postal Inspector, USPIS. Abraham Reyes, Special Agent, DEA. Aleida Carvajal, Task Force Officer, DEA. Curtis Wilkins, Special Agent, U.S. Postal Service, Office of Inspector General. Daniel Funk, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Southern District of Florida. Arturo Calderon, Special Agent, FBI. David Sharp II, Special Agent, FBI. Brian Scott Horn, Postal Inspector Team Leader, USPIS. Gregory Hoffman, Special Agent, FBI. Shelton Hammonds, Special Agent, FBI. Cesar Tejada, Deputy Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. We would also like to acknowledge local management who have joined us today in support of the winners. Juan Vargas, Inspector in Charge, USPIS Miami Division. Christopher Caldwell, Assistant Special Agent in Charge, FBI Miami. And Richard D. Baradino, Captain, Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. I think this is our biggest group of the day. Let me get out of the way of the photo. All right, thank you and congratulations again to the Palm Beach Narcotics Task Force and to the U.S. Postal Inspection Service Miami Division. I would now like to recognize members of DEA's HIDA 2 operation, Titanfall, for their efforts under the Domestic Investigations category. This category recognizes a domestic investigation resulting in a significant seizure or prosecution of illicit drug trafficking. In 2021, the DEA, Miami Field Office, Orlando District Office, and HIDA 2 initiated a long-term investigation into a violent Florida-based drug trafficking organization. Despite the sophistication and secretive nature of this DTO, HIDA 2 investigators were able to infiltrate and dismantle this DTO through controlled purchase of drugs and the initiation of 13 federal wire interceptions. The overall investigation resulted in the arrest of 23 individuals and the seizure of over $600,000 in assets, 23 firearms, and over 115 kilograms of cocaine and over 2 kilograms of fentanyl. In addition to seized ghost guns and stolen firearms, investigators also seized weapon suppressors and incendiary devices the DTO members were ready to use to protect their drug trafficking activities. Through these seizures and arrests, established lines of cocaine and fentanyl shipments to the Florida region have been severed. Dr. Gupta will now present members of the DEA's HIDA 2 Operation Titanfall with their certificates. First, we'd like to recognize Christopher Lane, Group Supervisor, DEA. Got yourself. Good catch. Richard Newsom, Special Agent, DEA. Christopher Hawes, Special Agent, DEA. Alejandra Houston, Special Agent, DEA. Luis Zunino, Task Force Officer, DEA. James Avila, Task Force Officer, DEA. Christian Lane, Task Force Officer, DEA. Dana Hill, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Middle District of Florida, Department of Justice. Congratulations. I would now like to recognize the representatives from HSI El Paso Operation Chainbreaker for their efforts under the Emerging Threats category. This award recognizes a significant achievement in identifying, detecting, or monitoring emerging threats in the realm of illicit narcotics trafficking. HSI El Paso's Operation Chainbreaker was designed to target Chinese pill press manufacturers and the Mexican transnational criminal organizations utilizing pill press equipment to facilitate the mass production of fentanyl pills being smuggled into the United States, exacerbating the fentanyl crisis domestically. To date, Operation Chainbreaker's efforts have led to the seizure of over 1,100 pieces of pill press equipment utilized in the mass production of fentanyl pills and/or other counterfeit medication. These seizures have eliminated the Sinaloa cartels and other TCO's abilities to produce tens of millions of fentanyl pills annually. Dr. Gupta will now present members of HSI El Paso Operation Chainbreaker with their certificates. First, we would like to recognize Luis Rico, Special Agent in Charge, HSI. Sharon Kesterson, Chief Intelligence Officer, HSI. Steve Spitzer, Assistant U.S. Attorney. Samuel Gutierrez, Supervisory Special Agent, HSI. Justin Taylor, Supervisory Criminal Analyst, HSI. Jose Arroyo Itier, Special Agent, HSI. Elias Contreras, Special Agent, HSI. And Corey Brecht, All-Source Analyst, Department of Defense. We would also like to acknowledge local management who have joined us today in support of their winners. Francisco Barola, Special Agent in Charge, HSI El Paso. Congratulations. I would now like to recognize Los Angeles Haida Riverside County Sheriff's Office Deputy Ned Hyduke III for his efforts under the Highway Interdictions category. This award recognizes a singular, significant highway interdiction event at the case level. From October 11th to 13th, 2022, the Los Angeles Haida Vehicle Interdiction Pipeline Enforcement Resource, VIPER, initiative coordinated a domestic highway enforcement operation along Interstate 5 between Los Angeles and Bakersfield in Kern County, California. Deputy Hyduke conducted a search of the identified vehicle and located 3 duffel bags containing a total of 113 pounds of counterfeit M30 fentanyl pills, over 17 pounds of powder fentanyl, 2.5 pounds of Xanax pills, and 2 pounds of ecstasy pills. Deputy Hyduke placed the driver under arrest and contacted the Kern County Narcotic Task Force for the follow-up investigation. Before we call up Deputy Hyduke, we would also like to acknowledge his father, retired Lieutenant Ned Hyduke II, who has joined us here today, along with Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, as well as Deputy Chief Misty Reynolds and Sergeant Dustin Getz. Deputy Hyduke, please come to the stage to receive your award. Congratulations. Recognize members of HSI Chicago's Financial Investigations Group, Operation Falling Star, for their efforts under the illicit finance category. This award recognizes a money laundering or illicit proceeds investigation that resulted in a significant financial seizure or prosecution, which has ties to a drug trafficking organization. Operation Falling Star was a comprehensive investigation of the illicit activities of Chinese money laundering organizations operating in concert with Mexican transnational criminal organizations. As of December 2022, Operation Falling Star initiated enforcement actions utilizing both domestic and international partners, which resulted in 18 indictments, 16 criminal arrests, 3 administrative arrests, and the seizure of over $5.5 million in illicit proceeds, 19 kilograms of cocaine, 30 kilograms of liquid methamphetamine, over 6 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine, over 3 kilograms of heroin, nearly 13 pounds of marijuana, 5 vehicles, and 21 firearms. To date, this investigation has led to the conviction of 12 money launderers and drug traffickers. Dr. Gupta will now present members of HSI Chicago's Financial Investigations Group, Operation Falling Star, with their certificates. First, we would like to recognize Robert Kelly Jr., Special Agent, HSI. Matthew Dawood, Special Agent, HSI. Maureen McDougall, Criminal Analyst, HSI. Kevin Einhart, Task Force Officer, HSI. Kenneth Popovitz, Group Supervisor, HSI. Jennifer Guest, Special Agent, IRS Criminal Investigations, Chicago Field Division. Sean Franzblau, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Northern District of Illinois, Department of Justice. Richard Rothblatt, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Department of Justice. We would also like to recognize HSI Chicago Special Agent in Charge, Sean Fitzgerald, who has joined us today in support of the winners. Congratulations. I would now like to recognize the representatives from DEA's Hampton Post of Duty Enforcement Group 74 for their efforts under the International Investigations category. This award recognizes a significant international investigation that highlights collaboration between U.S. and foreign law enforcement teams. The DEA Hampton Post of Duty Enforcement Group 74 has conducted a substantial investigation involving an extremely violent Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia organization responsible for the smuggling and transportation of ton quantities of cocaine from Colombia to Central America and Mexico for distribution in the United States. To date, this investigation has produced the arrest of 56 organizational members and the seizure of approximately 15,000 kilograms of cocaine and over 11,000 pounds of marijuana. All the members of this organization have been prosecuted in the Eastern District of Virginia. Dr. Gupta will now present members of DEA Hampton Post of Duty Enforcement Group 74 with their certificates. First, we would like to recognize Bradstreet Smith, Special Agent, DEA. Eric Hurt, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Department of Justice. Edward Roche, Special Agent, DEA. Ronald Sandoval, Special Agent, DEA. Pete Galaccio, DEA Task Force Officer, Virginia State Police. Patrick Hartig, Group Supervisor, DEA. John Slayton, Special Agent, HSI. Brian Torres, Special Agent, DEA. We would also like to announce winners that could not make it in person today. Galen Dosky, Special Agent, HSI. Christopher Gominis, Special Agent, HSI. Camilo Andres Velasquez, Colombian National Police. Eden Andres Geronimo, Colombian National Police. Camilo Eduardo Butrago, Colombian National Police. And finally, to represent Jared A. Forget, DEA Special Agent in Charge, who could not make it today, is DEA Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Michael Ruthermond. Congratulations. would now like to recognize the representatives from HSI San Diego Costa Pacifico Money Laundering Task Force, Operation Pipe Dream, for their efforts under the Land Interdiction category. This award recognizes a singular, significant land interdiction event at the case level, not a consolidation of a series of cases. In March of 2021, HSI San Diego Costa Pacifico Money Laundering Task Force Group 2 initiated Operation Pipe Dream. Operation Pipe Dream is an investigation into the Lopez drug trafficking organization based out of the Tijuana-San Diego border region. The Lopez DTO is responsible for moving multi-ton quantities of cocaine and other narcotics from Baja California, Mexico, into Southern California and other various cities throughout the United States. On May 12, 2022, CPTF agents and various federal and local law enforcement partners coordinated an interdiction event which led to 3 vehicle stops and an execution of 2 search warrants. In all, CPTF agents seized approximately 799 kilograms of cocaine, 75 kilograms of methamphetamine, 1.5 kilograms of fentanyl, and arrested 6 subjects. Additionally, this interdiction event included the discovery of and ultimate cessation of a sophisticated subterranean cross-border tunnel. Dr. Gupta will now present members of HSI San Diego Costa Pacifico Money Laundering Task Force, Operation Pipe Dream, with their certificates. First, we would like to recognize Paul Benjamin, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Department of Justice. Larry Casper, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Department of Justice. Robert Forbes, Task Force Officer, San Diego Sheriff's Department. Jacob Schneeberger, Special Agent, HSI. Ricardo Vargas, HSI Task Force Officer, CBP San Diego. Gustavo Valdivia, Special Agent, HSI. James Peters, Special Agent, DEA. We would also like to recognize Josh Watkins, Supervisory Special Agent, HSI, and Jesus Salazar, Supervisory Special Agent, HSI, who could not be here in person today. Congratulations. I would now like to recognize the representatives from CBP's Air and Marine Operations Caribbean Branch for their efforts under the Maritime Interdictions category. This award recognizes a singular significant maritime interdiction event at the case level, not a consolidation of a series of cases. On November 17, 2022, the Caribbean Air and Marine Branch, in partnership with the United States Coast Guard and the Puerto Rican Police Department Marine Unit, successfully interdicted 2 private vessels identified by Air and Marine Operations for smuggling drugs, cash, and weapons into Mayagüez, Puerto Rico. CBP's coastal interceptor vessel M815 was launched to intercept and soon reported visual on 2 vessels, one moving away from the other. CBP Civ M815 tied alongside the first vessel to conduct a routine inspection, during which the captain fired at close range on the 3 Marine interdiction agents who returned fire. 3 agents were shot multiple times. Sadly, Marine interdiction agent Michael O. Maceda succumbed to his wounds, while the other 2 agents were left critically injured. 1 subject on the first vessel and 2 subjects on the second vessel were apprehended. A search of the 2 vessels revealed 1,300 kilograms of cocaine, a large sum of cash, loaded firearms, and other contraband, which were ultimately seized in Mayagüez by the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Dr. Gupta will now present members of CBP's Air and Marine Operations Caribbean Branch with their certificates. First, we would like to recognize Jorge Santiago, Marine Interdiction Agent, CBP. Sonny Marcom, Director, Caribbean Air and Marine Branch Operations Center. Daniel Amegan, Air Interdiction Agent, CBP. Kenneth Velez Rodriguez, Agent, Puerto Rico Police Department. Nestor Lazu Rivas, Lieutenant Commander, U.S. Coast Guard. Henry Ward, Lieutenant, Commanding Officer, U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Joseph Tezanos. Bo James, Jr., Aviation Maintenance Technician, 2nd Class, United States Coast Guard. Also, we recognize Mark Lamphere, Jr., Marine Interdiction Agent, CBP, and Justin Greringer, AST, 2nd Class Rescue Swimmer, U.S. Coast Guard, who could not join us today. Finally, we would like to present this next award posthumously to Marine Interdiction Agent Michael Omaceda, who tragically lost his life during this operation. Accepting his award is Jonathan P. Miller, Executive Assistant Commissioner of Air and Marine Operations, Customs and Border Protection. Congratulations. I would now like to recognize the representatives from Joint Interagency Task Force South, Tactical Communications Division, for their efforts under the Special Recognition category. This category recognizes uniquely noteworthy achievements by non-operational individuals or teams for their support and furtherance of drug interdiction, drug analysis, strategic planning teams, and training teams. The JIATF South Joint All-Domain Net formulated a solution based on readily available components to solve a long-standing operational need. Prior to JADNet's development, communications at the tactical level with foreign partners was difficult and ineffective. JIATF South developed and fielded a secure tactical communications architecture and capability that seamlessly brings together multiple radio networks and provides real-time friendly force and target location data that is fully releasable to our foreign partners. Dr. Gupta will now present members from Joint Interagency Task Force South, Tactical Communications Division, with their certificates. First, we would like to recognize Thomas Page, Tactical Communications Lead. Dallas Maltby, Tech Sergeant, U.S. Air Force, Tactical Radio Communications Specialist. Jaron Williams, Electronics Engineer. Randy Stake, Tactical Systems Branch Chief. We would also like to acknowledge local command staff who have joined us today in support of our winners. Mark Fedor, Rear Admiral, United States Coast Guard, Director of JIATF South, and Thomas Horner, Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy, USIC Executive Director. Congratulations. This concludes recognition of all recipients for the 2022 U.S. Interdiction Coordinator Awards. Congratulations again to all of our award recipients. For those that want to participate, we will be holding a group photograph outside on the Navy steps. We will take a 10-minute break and proceed to head there from this room. please follow those holding the USIC award signs to the Navy Step location. When situated, we ask that you remove your visitor badges while taking photos. So in the interim between here and there, you'll have to, but you can keep them off for now. Sorry, I should clarify, because you may want to take pictures up front here again. So you're welcome to stay during those 10 minutes, take photos, and enjoy the time here. We'll provide everyone a virtual link that will include photos we have taken today. Feel free to download them at your leisure. Please remember to put your badges on after you finish taking photos, and we'll have escorts to assist you exiting the building as well. And I would encourage you too, while we're in this room, we'll open some of the blinds. From here, you got a nice view of the White House. And with that, Ms. Kelly, back to you for final remarks.
Again, our deepest congratulations to all of the awardees for your outstanding work and exemplary dedication to this shared mission. As evidenced by today's awards, disrupting the trafficking of illicit and deadly drugs does not begin or end at the border. And critically, the work that you do gives space for the administration's historic investments in public health to take hold so that we can reduce the demand for these drugs and save more lives. Our mission to end the overdose crisis, and our interdiction mission in particular, is a team effort. And the citations that were read today outline the collaborative work of all of our awardees. However, the citations don't tell the complete story. Public service is a family commitment, and the hours that have been recognized today are the product of many hours away from family, friends, and loved ones. These efforts represent time away from family and could not be successful without the support of spouses, children, parents, and siblings. So thank you to the families of our awardees for your contributions as well. And thank you again to each of our awardees for your commitment and your hard work. I congratulate each of you on a job well done. This concludes our awards ceremony. On behalf of ONDCP, I wish you safe and smooth travels home. Thank you.